I'm so
welcome.
excited to be back.
Good to
Karen,
see
how are
you.
you?
I'm great. You make me excited to hear about this. So tell me what you're doing, Tiffany.
So much. But most excitingly, I would say recently I had a law pass. It is Law A1414 in New Jersey, better known as the Budgetnista law. And
Wait, it's named after you?
well, we tried. They were like, no, girl. But that's what we're calling it, like, colloquially.
Okay, I got you. The Budgetnista law. I like
yes,
that.
but it's really A1414 if you want to do your Googles. So a friend of mine, Angela B. McKnight, she, a few years ago, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, became an assemblywoman in New Jersey. And she was always really of service to her community, and one of the first things she decided she wanted to do was to do something about education. She had already taken one of my financial education classes in New Jersey, in Newark, and she was like, I want to do something about financial education in New Jersey. And I told her there was already a law in place for high school, which is good because Jersey's
which the law was to make financial literacy part of the curriculum
mandatory. So that was great. I didn't have a part in that, but that was awesome. I remember when that happened. But I told her that it should start sooner, that it should start as young as kindergarten, all throughout through middle school. And then by the time you get to high school, it's not the first time you're hearing about money.
Kindergarten financial literacy. Yeah. What does that look like, Tiffany Aliche?
Well, I'll tell you, I used to be a preschool teacher teaching financial literacy in the classroom. And so what it looks like is that you make it age appropriate. It looks like 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds making savings boxes and calling it their bank. It looks like when they have every preschool classroom or kindergarten classroom has chores for children. It looks like calling those chores jobs and then giving them monopoly money payment every day for doing their job. Do you see how that can be age appropriate? It looks like doing penny drives where kids find change and they bring in the penny drive. They bring in their change and you count it every week and talk about who you can give this money to and how it could serve the community. And so that's how you make it age appropriate.
So A1414 is a law that does what?
So in the beginning, we pushed for it. I mean, at the time, Governor Christie got to his desk. Bipartisan, both sides, everyone said, of course, we want the kids to learn about money. Got to his desk. He was on his way out. He decided not to sign it. When you don't sign a law in New Jersey, it becomes vetoed by nature of you.
By default.
Yep. And so it was frustrating because it was 2 years worth of work. So we went back to the drawing board and pushed it through. You have to go through the education community, the House, the Senate. Everyone has to vote again for the thing they already said okay to. This time there was more pushback and they decided we're not sure about elementary school. Let's just do middle school. So we acquiesced and said, okay.
That was a compromise.
And so it got to the desk of Governor Phil Murphy, and he said, okay. And he wasn't in town, but they decided this was such an important law that they wanted to have a signing ceremony, which is not typical. So we signed it at the Barack Obama school in Jersey City, and Sheila Oliver, the first African-American lieutenant governor, was there. So here is Angela B. McKnight, Assemblywoman Angela B. McKnight, Black woman. Here I am, Black woman. Here is Lieutenant Governor Oliver, Black woman. The principal of the school, Black woman. It was just, when I tell you Black girl magic, it was beautiful.
So let me just say this, because there are a lot of people listening who just, well, why don't we just do this? And people have ideas all day long. It can take up hours and hours. You can fill up 24 hours of people's ideas.
Yep.
But to get things done, there's a process to that.
Yes.
There's actually a process to it. And what you're talking about is not giving up. You went back
to the
so first you had to put down on paper what this bill was going to be. First they had to start with a bill.
First it had to start with some research, because you wanted to see, is there a bill in place, or is there a law in place that's trying to do what you wanted to do? So once I told...
Because there's no reason to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly. So once I told the Assemblywoman that there was a law for high school, she had her team do some more research to see what did it cover, what did it entail, did it need something extra? It didn't. So then we got back to the drawing board, and then we started to write out what would it look like for younger grades, because it's not the same.
Right.
Because the pushback, and I understand as a former teacher, the pushback is that there's not enough time in the middle school, elementary school day to stop, drop, and say it's financial literacy time.
Right.
Because they have in high school you have some leeway. Right. They don't give leeway to younger,
because they are pushing this oh my goodness. Our system is so broken. So that you were able to do this is a damn near miracle.
Yes, because honestly, we got pushback but because Angela brought me in specifically because of my education. I have my master's in education. Like I said, I was a school teacher for 10 years. And so I was able to come in and say, well, what if instead of having to stop, drop financial literacy time, we do an integration? So it doesn't take away from the teacher. So an integration looks like you're already going to do an art project. Why not make a savings box where the kids bring in shoe boxes from home? We decorate it with things that you could save for. You were already going to do art anyway. So you're already going to buy 30 books this year. Why not 5 of them be financial education
Come
books?
on.
You know, you were already going to count. Why aren't we not counting pennies? And let's do a penny drive and let the children save pennies that they collect. You see what I mean?
I love it.
Integration. So it was a light lift on the teacher, a light lift financially, because you don't have to get new materials. You're using the materials that are already there.
Right.
And I'm someone who said, I did this for 10 years. So don't tell me you can't do it, because I did it. And so I'm really excited. So it's something that's usable. It's actually supposed to go into effect September 2019.
Wow. Which it rarely happens that you can get a law pushed through and still in the same calendar year have it implemented.
Well, honestly, Angela V. McKnight, Assemblywoman, she's already had hundreds of laws passed already.
Hundreds of laws.
I mean,
she's been in office less than 4 years.
Yeah, and she is, when I say a powerhouse, I mean, she just got a law passed where we all know the struggle where African braiders, where they were trying to hold them to this higher standard as if they had to go to cosmetology school and spend all this money. That's not what they were doing. They're just braiding.
Right.
You know?
Right. They don't need to know chemicals. They don't need to know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She got a law passed to say, this is true. You don't have to get all of those things.
Right.
So that way they can make a living.
Right.
Instead of, because, you know, most
those
of the
licenses are expensive.
Yes.
The schools are, cosmetology school is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just braiding hair. You're not using chemicals.
Exactly. So that's why those braid shops can never really grow or advertise, because they were all working under the table.
Right.
And so now she changed that for them so they can come into the light.
And that helps with taxes.
Yes, exactly. So when I say a powerhouse and amazing, she is a powerhouse and amazing.
So are you, Tiffany
Thank
Aliche. I'm so impressed. I was impressed with the Budgetnista. And you can still follow her at the Budgetnista.
Yes.
The Budgetnista. And just your whole passion around financial literacy. Tell people who didn't hear you the last time you were here a little bit about how you got to this place. We know you taught for 10 years. But how did you get into this space?
Well, I was fortunate because my father, who was a CFO and an accountant in Newark, New Jersey, that he had 5 daughters, and he decided I have to teach my daughters about money, you know, to be all the way transparent. You know, my parents are African, and it's not typical in the African household that you put the onus on women, you know, but he was like, I don't have any sons. So y'all are going to learn these lessons. And I'm so grateful for not having a brother, because I don't know I would have learned this, you know? And so we would literally have weekly financial lessons. So we would have our family meetings, but we would talk about the light bill.
Pause for a second. You would have family meetings?
Yes.
When did those occur?
So it typically once a week in the evening. So it wasn't a particular day, but my dad was a talker.
So he would call children.
Literally. And we would sit around the dining room table and we would talk about, if grades came out, we talked about grades. If there was a behavior issue, we talked about that. My dad does not shirk from difficult conversations. We talked about everything, and we talked about money regularly. Till this day, if I see my dad, he's going to do a rundown of, did you do your taxes? Let me see about this. What about this? Are you saving? I mean, he's in his 70s and he's still coaching me when it comes to finance.
Biggest lesson that you remember that made the light bulb go on, because your parents can tell you to do things and you were like, okay, I'm not doing that.
So biggest lesson I could probably remember is that I remember I wanted a bike for my 10th birthday, and he was doing the bills at the dining room table. And I didn't understand what it meant to pay bills. I mean, because, you know, to me, money was for cookies, cakes, and a candy store. And
you're 10.
You know, exactly. But for the first time, he said, if you want a bike, you have to help me pay some bills. And he wanted me to add them up. And I saw a mortgage for the first time, because I thought you bought a house the way you bought a shirt one time. And I knew about the light bill and the water bill, because who didn't get yelled at for running those things up, you know?
But you didn't have a perspective on why that was an issue.
Yes. And then what I realized, what my dad was so good at, is that he was good at aligning what was important to the family financially to what was important to children financially. Because quite honestly, I don't care about the light bill. I cared about that bike though. So when I was adding up the family's bills and subtracting it from what he and my mom made, a light bulb went on like, wait, they make this money and some of it is leaving for these other things. Am I going to be able to get my bike? Because that's what I cared about.
Right.
So all of a sudden now I'm like,
maybe I need to turn this water off.
Exactly. And so what was left over, he told me some of it had to be saved, invested, and there was money left over for my bike, but not as much as I thought. So I had to make a financial choice about what bike we could afford from what was left over. That never left me. That was budgeting. That was saving. That was allocating. That was investing, all in that one lesson at 10. So I chose a bike that I could grow into, so I wouldn't have to get a bike every year for my birthday. And I still have that bike. I never got another bike.
Are you serious?
My dad rides a bike for exercise now.
That's amazing. So for people, because a lot of us were raised not to talk money with children.
Yeah.
That
you're doing them a disservice.
How young?
As young as 3 and 4. When they start to say, mommy, daddy, auntie, uncle, can you buy me? Not just can I have. Can you buy me? You're saying they're too young. They already know. They just said buy.
Right. They use BUY.
Yes. But that means that there is an exchange for money and stuff. That means that connection has been made. Make it the right connection. And usually happens around 3 or 4. Wow. Mm-hmm.
And just as your dad presented it, I know a lot of people might be uncomfortable with showing their children because a lot of us are flossing.
Yes.
And we're pretending. So to show your children what you actually bring in, show them your paycheck.
They don't care. Let me tell you something. A 5-year-old, a 10-year-old doesn't know what a lot or a little. I just knew that the number was getting shorter. It's new with the
down the list. You were like, yeah. How much is that bike? Okay, y'all need to do something here.
Exactly. So don't worry about that component because honestly, they don't know. I can remember being like 3 or 4 where I used to run the water because I love the sound of it, and my dad couldn't figure out how to get me to stop until because we didn't have much money, we would rotate ice cream days. So because I'm second born, my ice cream day was Tuesday, which meant during the summer on Tuesdays, I can go and get $1, just me. Monday was my sister Karen. Wednesday, my sister Tracy. This is when we were really little. But I remember Tuesday came, I heard the ice cream man, ran in for my $1. And my dad said, oh, you just missed the water man. Every time you run that water, I have to pay him and I had to give him your $1. I lost my mind. And I realized, he connected what was important to me, ice cream, to now I don't care about running the water, but I wanted my ice cream. And I realized that my $1 was going to this water instead of my ice cream. So I stopped running that water. So you see how it doesn't have to be inappropriate for children.
And there's no spanking. You don't have to beat the child, but the lesson was learned and was indelible. Yes. It stuck with you.
I still feel uncomfortable with water running too long. That means no ice cream.
Oh my goodness. In your 10 years of teaching, give me one success story that you can remember from some lesson that you gave that impacted a young person and changed their life or trajectory.
Well, I'll say this. Well, just recently. So this is she was young. I mean, she was probably like I want to say in her 20s. So I had this online challenge called the Live Richer Challenge. A young woman hit me on Facebook and said, hey, I'm recently homeless. I'm in a shelter right now. Should I take the Live Richer Challenge? And I told her, yes, she's like, it's going to be helpful. I said, yes, because it'll help to plan for the life that you want. And if you have access to your phone and a pen and a piece of paper, you should do it. She hit me up about 1.5 years later and said, hey, Tiffany, and I could see the message from before where she said that she was homeless. I just want you to know I closed on a home. From homeless to homeowner.
What?
And
what was the Live Richer Challenge? Just give us the short version.
So it's just this free online challenge I do every year. It's my way to give back to my
community. When do you do this?
Every January. But the thing is, if you ever want to sign up for any of them, there's 5 of them. You can go to livericherchallenge.com. They're all listed there. And it's just a free course. It's a month-long free course that I release. I release a new one every January for the last 5 years. And if you go there, you'll see them all listed. Just pick one at a time and complete them. And so she had done that. She had done the work. And it blew me away because that's transformative. I mean, the teacher in me, I want to transform lives. That's why I became a teacher. I want to bring you from where you are to where you want to be in a real, tangible way. Not just, I call it like Sunday morning teaching and preaching, which is great. You feel good, but what do I do?
There's nothing like this. It's candy.
What do I do? And so I must give you something to do. I'm giving you homework, tangible step-by-step guidance.
And if you aren't getting this from somebody, then you need to find it.
Yes. And honestly, that's why I also started the Live Richer Academy, which is my online school. Because I realized, I'm helping the kids. I did that, but adults missed out on.
They didn't have daddy around the table teaching them these valuable financial lessons.
And not just basic financial lessons, because those I believe should be free. And I give the basic financial lessons away for free via the challenges. So that's budgeting, savings, debt, credit. In the academy, it's time to level up. Financial freedom is something that we can all achieve. It's where in the academy you learn how to start a business. You learn how to do your taxes. You learn real estate investing, traditional investing, annuities, retirement. And what I've done is, so I went from when I was a teacher, I lost my job during the recession and I lost everything. And I was at that time $300,000 in debt.
Say what now?
$300,000. That was my home. That was credit cards and that was student loans. So I was big debt, right?
With the home though, can
The
we
home
put
was
that
a-
to the side?
So
'Cause
then,
that's-
if it wasn't the home, I would say about $100 to $150,000 in debt. So still
Yeah, that's a
significant
lot.
amount, you know. And so, but now I'm a self-made millionaire. You know, so this is within a 10-year span. And I thought, how did I get here?
How did you get here?
Because I call them my money team, a team of people that I learned from. My accountant, I have a student loan coach, I have an investment coach. All these people invested into me. Well, I mean, at first I had to invest into them, but invested into me. So when I built the school, I don't know everything. So I asked them, would you come and would you teach to people who would not otherwise have access to you? And they volunteered their efforts and say yes. And so as a result, like honestly, the Academy is $9.99 a month. That doesn't make sense. You can't, there's no way I can have these level. I mean, my publicist alone, who teaches classes about how to market your business, is $3,000 a month. But she donates her time so people who might not otherwise have access can have access to her level. My attorney, my last contract he did was $2,500. He teaches inside the Academy. You're not getting him for $10 a month for one person, let alone all of them. And so really it's to me, it's my greatest accomplishment. It's 3 years old. We have about 20,000 students already.
Go ahead.
And they're in there starting businesses. We helped one woman write a best-selling book already. I mean, everything you can think of what I call adulting 101. So self-development and financial education, the next level of financial education is what's inside the Academy.
That's community too, because
Yes.
the reality is if we work together, it's like everybody wants to do their own remix to a thing.
Yes.
But there's so much more power when we work together towards one common goal.
Yes. I always say knowledge, access, community. Those are the three tools you need for success. When you know better, you do better. Knowledge, access. Some doors can only be opened from the inside. I don't care what you think. Like someone has to open that door and let you in. And community, we work best in community. Community provides it provides inspiration, it provides encouragement, it provides normalization of the process. That when you see like, oh, it's hard for everyone who's just starting out,
Yes, it's not just us. And even what you did with the law passing, process matters.
Yes.
So tell me about your next law. Because I know you're working on something
no,
else.
it is. We are.
I know you are.
So well, let me just tell you. I know some people are like, how do I join the Academy? Can I just share real quick?
Absolutely.
So if you go to join LRA for liverityouracademy.com. JoinLRA.com. Next month, or well, actually this week, we're actually going to triple prices. So I tell people lock yourself in at $9.99 because we're tripling the prices because we're actually upgrading from 1.0 to 2.0. And so I'm like, lock it in. You're locked in for life. So the next law that I'm trying to pass is we're going to go back for that elementary school because I'm adamant they need it. And so she was like, Angela said, the assemblywoman, let's just get middle school passed. Let's show that it works. And then we'll go back for elementary school. So that's the next thing.
I love it. I'm so proud. And you warm my heart. You give me hope for the future, and all of the work that you're doing, I know is manifesting into some wonderful, wonderful people being blessed and making more millionaires. Because the more millionaires we have, the more people we have that can build more things.
People don't realize that you get to ripple out where you are. Right. So one of the things I love about teaching is that I showed Jaheim how to read. Jaheim goes on to love books. Then he goes on to law school. Then he goes on to helping his community, folks who maybe have been incarcerated unfairly. Then he goes on to teach his children how to read. Then his children go on to love books. So when you do that, like especially as a teacher, but when you're of service right where you are, you ripple outward. You don't have to fly to Timbuktu to make a difference. Right where you are, you can make a tremendous change. And I have known since I was in my early 20s that I wanted to live a life of service, and so that's what I'm dedicated to, because I know that one person can make a tremendous change, but collectively we could change everything.
Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista. Follow her on social media and go to joinlra.com. Join LRA. Get into the Academy. You're amazing. I'm glad you're part of our family. You better come back.
I am.
Appreciate you.
Thank
All
you.
right, folks. It's the Karen